Hey y'all, it's Jordyn Swingle with season 2 of Let's Just Be Real. I'm so excited to be bringing you a new season with a new set, so many new guests, and stories that you have to hear. So grab your best friend, sit down on your couch, and let's get to it. Well, hi y'all. I am gonna tell you the truth. It is nighttime. I have my full 9-step skin routine on, not a lick of makeup, all right? This podcast is Let's Just Be Real, and I'm keeping it 100, okay? I know I look 12 years old. I don't want to hear it in the comments. But I have a very, very special guest today, someone that I thoroughly enjoy just yapping with. And this is a rarity because I feel like I'm gonna say it. Gen Z, you and I don't always click, but this one individual is very near and dear to my heart. It is none other than my little brother-in-law, Kevin Swingle. Say hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Sorry, everybody. I feel like I was really sassy on the intro, but I'm on one tonight.
I mean, I'm at the border area of Gen Z 2001.
You're Gen Z.
Yeah.
You're Gen Z, 100%.
Oh.
In my mind, you're Gen Z, but it's also like, I think probably just because of the way you carry yourself. You're not like the typical Gen Z, but you definitely went through a phase where I was like, what are you doing with your hair? Why is it feathered like the rest of the boys in the world? Yeah. It was like very like, you know what I'm saying?
Like Sonic the Hedgehog?
No.
Or spikes?
No. Like it was like a very like
Flow?
Yeah, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like the typical like kid, and they're like this, you know what I mean? Like they were like doing all that with their hair. You were doing that for a tiny bit. You had a season, or you had a moment.
Possibly, I don't know. I'm very much, as you know, a guy's guy and don't know anything about fashion.
I know, but I feel like trends transcend women and men, and like you just kind of you pick up on it. So anyways, you're a Gen Z that I tolerate and love and enjoy hanging out with. Okay.
Thank you.
For reference, how old are you?
I am 23.
I am 10 years older than you. How old were you when I married your brother? We've been married 10 years. You were 13.
Yep.
Little baby 13-year-old.
Mm-hmm. I would have just turned 13.
I would really love it, Editor Dylan, if we could get a photo from our wedding of little baby Kevin, because he was so cute.
And I
so
was
sweet.
sick as a dog.
Were you?
At y'all's wedding, sister's wedding, sick.
Why?
I don't know.
I had no idea that was. Thank you for hiding that so well.
Of course.
I feel like you're one of those people that would like need to barf, but you would just like do it in your mouth and just be like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. 100%. Okay. So I don't often have male guests on the podcast because I think that, I don't know.
Scary.
Not to me. I just kind of like, you know, but like women are like I just love to yap, but I feel like every time we're around each other, I'm like, so tell me your life. What's up? Like, I just love to talk to you, and you're just a fun person to be around. I feel like you have such a joyful and like jovial spirit. So I'm so pumped that you said yes to this. Not that you had a choice. But I want to talk about your upbringing and, you know, Dylan's perspective is different, right? He was older, and your mom and dad. So Dylan and Kevin share the same dad, not the same mom. Backstory that like doesn't really pertain to you. Dylan's mom and dad divorced long time ago. Then your parents got married. We are massive Kelly fans in this house. Kelly is your mother. Yeah. Truly a saint-like woman. Like just such a woman of character. I look up to her. I admire her. I feel like even in the last like couple of years, we've just gotten really close, and I just value that relationship so much. But for the viewers, and we've talked about this in the past, Melissa, Dylan's mom, Dawn, your dad, and Kelly are all very kind and friendly.
Yes. Like
we go on family vacations and they're all there. Do you know how rare that is?
I didn't until Megan said something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the same thing for Dylan. Like there was no like, oh, this is just our life. It's normal. But like coming from, I have a divorced mom, and like if we saw our husbands in the streets, like we would jump them. You know what I mean? I'm just kidding for legal purposes. That's a joke. But like y'all's dynamic has been so refreshing to me, and I feel like you almost have like a secondary mom in Dylan's mom. Like every time she's around, she's so kind. She's so like those two women helped me realize that like female relationships can be selfless and kind and uplifting, and I just love having a front row seat at that.
Oh yeah.
So talk about your upbringing, because you guys didn't live in Texas when you were born, right? Where were you born?
I was born in Atlanta, Georgia. That was the most fun thing for me to do is where are you from? Oh, I'm from Texas, but I was born in Georgia. And I was like, oh, what? So cool. No. Lived there for 2.5 years.
Yeah,
moved
you
back
don't remember
to
it.
Texas. Lived here ever since.
Yeah. Colleyville, Texas.
Yep. And played baseball for Lord knows how many years.
God, you played, I feel like my first memory of meeting you was like on a baseball field when you were like 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then y'all played like every day, all day, every day, all day. Yeah. Yeah. And we'll get to that because I have questions.
Oh, I have so many stories.
Okay.
Baseball, theater, didn't get my first job until I had just turned 19.
Okay. Can we pause for the privilege moment?
Oh, tell me about it. I'm blessed.
Yeah. You have parents
absolutely.
that work there, you know what's off.
Yes.
But I also think like you're such a unique person at your age because you have such a hard work ethic. Like you love to work almost as much as I love to work.
And I think I've told you and Dylan this as well, but first job was at a mom and pop breakfast spot. Started working there would get there at 6, open it up, close it down. Only had about 1 or 2 days off each day, get out at 3 o'clock-ish each day. Went to community college, had friends, had just moved out into my own apartment. So I'm like, I'm technically in college, but I might as well experience it and get my own apartment with
I remember that
friend. And then I was like, man, I got so much time. I'm bored. I made another job.
Like you just love to work.
And then for a year and a half, it was 6 a.m. to midnight, 6 days a week.
Which we all said is not sustainable and not good for you and your adrenals and all the things. Yeah. So, but I want to go back to something. So you played baseball and you were in theater. How was that received? First of all, being like an alpha white male and then also like jazz hands. You know what I mean? Like how do those two worlds coexist?
It was always so funny to me because I started doing theater in middle school in like 6th or 7th grade.
How did your dad respond when you were like, I want to be in theater?
At first he was like, oh, it's just an elective.
Yeah.
Of course, in like 6th, 7th grade. And then kept going, getting older. And I was like, oh, the high school is having musical theater auditions. And I like, that's from what I've been told, like the varsity theater that they have. Yeah. And I'm like, I'll try it out. I'll audition. Had no experience with musical theater. No. And so I prepared but I knew I was supposed to have a monologue and a song. And so the monologue I prepared was the back of a book cover that I recently read called The Fourth Stall. Great book.
Do you still remember the monologue?
I do not remember the monologue.
That shocks me.
I do remember that it was about a elementary 4th grader kingpin that ran his crime organization out of the 4th stall in the boys' bathroom.
Oh, I have to read this book.
Oh, it's so good. There's like 3 of them. It's like The Godfather.
Okay. And
the song, traditionally, it's supposed to be a musical theater song.
Right.
So something like Gravity from Wicked. Or I can't remember this. Alexander Hamilton. Right. Something of that nature. I chose something close. Cage the Elephant, Ain't No Rest for the Wicked.
Oh my God.
And I put everything into both of those.
I wish I could have been a fly on the wall for your first performance because at the time your face used to turn like 10 shades of red when you were embarrassed. That's so funny.
And I was also about 5 inches shorter and not far off my current size.
Yeah, that's so funny.
But I guess I sold it because they had no questions on if it was from an actual show. They're like, and where's it from? Cage the Elephant. I'm like, that's an interesting musical. I'll have to look that up.
Okay, yeah, I sold that. Thank you.
What play is
I'm
that?
bluffing 100%. Yeah. But you balanced it all very well. But I think that, okay, and this is going to be a hot topic. I'm going to offend somebody. What is your opinion on select baseball? Like, now that you're an adult, and like, do you look back and like, dang, that was a lot? Or were you like, do you have a different perspective?
So now that I am no longer doing sports like on the regular, now I just have the occasional softball game
Friday night with your brother.
Love it. Yeah. I try way too hard in them.
I've watched it. I know. Yes. You all act like you're in the MLB.
Of course. Yeah. I have a story for that. But I, having gone to your son's games, having gone to the girls' games, it's so much when you're not. It's so much harder, I think, on parents and spectators than the players. 100%.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because at that age,
commitment.
Oh, the commitment. As a kid, you recover so fast.
Yeah.
If you were a pitcher and you hurt your arm, you were fine in 3 days.
Yeah.
I don't want to go sit in that hot sun.
No, for 3 days. But I always want to know, like, people that were involved in it, like, heavily in their childhood, if there's any, like, not resentment at your parents because they just did what you wanted to do. But, like, is there any, like, man, I wish I would have tried more things? Is there any of that?
I am of the strong belief specifically for baseball, because it's the hardest thing to do in sports, is put a round bat on a round ball and do it good.
Yeah.
You don't like baseball until you're about 13. And that is because that's when you know if you're good or not.
Yeah.
And if you're good, you'll stick with it. If you're not, I don't want to do this anymore, but you might stick with it because you got somebody to make proud or whatever.
So how do you feel like as an adult, the like commitment and just I think there's a lot of pressure on young men to be the best at everything they're doing. Specifically, you and your brother. This is a trait that I have seen. Both of you, like, perfectionist, like, very hard on yourselves. How do you feel like, is there any of that stems from, like, sports or being expected to, like, do your best always?
I do think that select ball definitely played a part because of coach ball and the politics of everything and coach's son, because I was a catcher. Coach's son was also a catcher.
Right.
He always played. The assistant coach, his son, was a catcher. So whenever other catcher was playing shortstop or something, of course, the most popular position, the assistant coach's son would play catcher.
Got it.
And
so there's politics that go into it.
Oh, absolutely. And then I always I knew I was better. Absolutely. Yeah. And he's
humble, ladies and gentlemen.
I am my least favorite subject, but I have the biggest head about myself.
We know. We're getting there.
But proving yourself constantly, and along with it, going back to being in theater as well, I knew that to do one or the other, you don't have to be great.
Yeah.
To do both at the same time, you better be dang good at both of them.
Right.
And so I had to make sure that I changed the schedules of the high school baseball department and the theater department in one season. So that I could be both. That is how.
That's a lot of pressure.
But that also is a testament to
your work ethic.
That, and I better be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I think that there is some lingering, and you're 23. Like, you've still got a lot of life ahead of you. But, like, I think that for me, watching outside perspective, I always wonder, like, is that a lot of pressure on yourself? Like, do you feel like you have this standard of, like, I must perform at peak performance always?
Personally, no.
Okay.
I don't
I'm
think
wrong
so.
then.
But it's because I've been subject to it for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I'm used to it.
Yeah.
It
So
doesn't.
it's just how you function now.
Yeah, it's as if it's like a addiction
Mhm.
almost. You get so used to it that the
Yeah.
second that it's not there, you're like, something's wrong.
Okay. So talk to me about like the downsides. Like, what are the negatives of like feeling all the pressure all the time as a man?
You become numb emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
and that it wasn't perfect sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It's everything's black or white.
Yeah.
The relational effects in which I have greatly had to learn of. I wasn't perfect. Start beating myself up, apologizing profusely, gifts out the wazoo, whatever. What are you doing? I was late.
Yeah.
You were 2 minutes late to picking me up, and when we're already 15 minutes early to the date. You're not late.
Yeah.
I was like,
those are some of the things that I've caught on to. Of like, you hold yourself to such a high standard, and I don't think that it's a negative thing. I hold the people in my life to a high standard. I hold myself to a very high standard, but I do think that there is, especially in like men,
mm-hmm.
y'all, either you are at the top of the mountain or you're in the pit of the valley, and there's really nowhere in between, you know, at least in like the relationships that I've had with men in the past and just in general. Like, I think that men hold themselves to a high standard, and if they don't, then it's the opposite direction, right? Like, I'm not even going to try.
Because it's, and a sidebar.
I'm painting with a broad brush, but I'm just saying, like,
no, absolutely.
I'm asking because I think it's something that some men struggle with.
Oh, absolutely. Another sidebar that I personally have struggled with because of perfection is I have a terrible relationship with time. If you're early, you're on time. You're on time. You're late, unacceptable. And that's why 10 minutes early to this, 15 minutes early to work.
Yeah, you're never late.
No, I will. If I'm late, I'm dead.
Like, does that have any tether to anxiety?
Oh, absolutely. Anxiety, perfection, wanting to be better, all that.
Yeah.
But going back to, you were saying about,
I don't know what I was saying.
You were saying about
Run the tape.
The pressure on men. It's because for most of, from my experience, it's about what you can provide as a man.
Yeah.
So if you're not perfect, then what do you got to provide? Yeah,
that's true. And that, I think, like, as women, we have a more nurturing spirit of like, there's a lot of that in conversation that Dylan and I have had over the years of like just an undoing of that, of like, I'm like, just like you were 2 minutes late, like literally not pressed. Like, it's not a big deal. But to someone who compares themselves to themselves and to like the best person in the room or like the highest achieving person in the room, like that can be really hard. And I think that's something just in y'all's family. Like, you are all very like successful, very driven, very those kind of people. I do not come, although my family's not successful and driven, but like goal-oriented, talking about finances, like being financially literate, like those things were not introduced in my life, and literally until I'm married into y'all's family. And I'm so thankful for that because it's educated me. But I also think that there can be this in like intrinsic pressure of like, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, then like, what are you amounting to? You know what I mean? And I say this with the utmost respect of y'all's family. Like, I think that you are some of the kindest, most generous people in the world. But I feel like I rise to the occasion when I'm around you guys because I'm like, oh, like they're at this level, like you better bring that A game. You know, you better know what you're talking about. You better be educated. Like, you know, when we talk about college, your parents and I talk about this all the time. We always fight because I'm like a big proponent for like, not everyone should go to college. You know what I mean? And they would look at me and be like, do not say that, dude. And I'm like, Kevin, you trying to get your real estate license? Don't go to college. And they're like, Jordyn. But I obviously mean it lightheartedly. But I do think that like, and I would say in more affluent communities, I think that's more prominent, like, you know, competition and driven and those kind of things. And I'm not saying it's always negative, but I do think that just being in y'all's orbit, like I realized like, dang, there's a lot of pressure on that you put on yourself and that Dylan puts on himself to like perform.
It's like walking by a busy restaurant and you just see the tables full. You're like, wow, they're doing great. Then you go back into the kitchen, everything's on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they're
That's a good
still
word.
working.
It's still going.
Mm-hmm.
That food's still coming out.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think you've done a good job of like, sometimes I can see that you're recognizing that and like trying to fight against it. It's like a tether that pulls you very strongly. But I recognize that you're a very hard worker, and I think that you will never struggle to provide. Like if that's something you're worried about, I don't think that's ever going to be an issue, because I think you are one of those people, and so is your brother, that like over your dead body, where will your family go without? Like you will find a way to make it happen for them. Okay, so I want to talk about something that, trigger warning, something that you and I share in common that we haven't ever really talked about. We literally just talked about it 5 minutes ago for the first time we've ever broached this conversation. So, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth. I want you to share your experience. I'm also going to share my experience because I think that this is a conversation that's very disarming in men, right? I don't think that it's a conversation that anyone talks about, which is a problem in my opinion, because I think if you don't talk about things, they stay hidden and then there's no healing, right? So you mentioned earlier that you were, 5 inches shorter, but same weight maybe, or same stature. When you were growing up, talk about body image. Walk me through that.
So I hit 100 pounds in 4th grade, and I was 140 pounds in 6th grade. I was playing center for the middle school football team.
Yeah, you were.
But dad and uncles were all string beans growing up. Dad didn't hit 100 pounds till he was a sophomore in high school, from what he's told me. Yeah. And even growing up now and looking back at pictures of dad and uncles, I was like, body weight, I'm nowhere near. I'm bigger. And now I know that's a phenomenal thing. Yeah, absolutely. But I was 140 pounds in like 6th grade. And then I've always had a bad relationship with the number 200, because at my heaviest, I was like 225 and then I went on a cut. I hated it. I was like down to 180 or something. But I just never liked what I saw, I guess. Yeah. And so when it came to food, I did so much research on workouts and muscle gaining and hypertrophy and all that.
Wrote my first workout plan that I ever like successfully completed was because you wrote it, and I like trusted what you were saying, and it worked. I was very strong
because I did everything that I said for it. Yeah. And even before that, what was it? I forget how much I ate. I just constantly remember wondering how my parents afforded
to feed you.
Yes. Yeah. Because
was that when you were younger and like heavier, or was that when you were like in high school and you were like putting on muscle and doing those things?
That is the ages of 5 until 18. I don't know how they fed me, because, man, they got these Marie Calendar like families of 6 to 8 servings that you can get at the grocery store frozen. Used to throw one in the oven, and my mom would say, all right, you want this quarter, this quarter, this quarter, this quarter, because a serving size is like an 1/8. And she knows I'm gonna want more, so she's like, I'll give you a quarter. And my dad just looks at her and says, just give him the whole thing. And I'm like, just give me the whole thing.
6 to 8 servings. Yeah. Do you feel like at that age you're like cognizant of like food is giving you comfort, or like what do you think? Like,
I was just hungry.
Really?
Yes. That's all it was. I was just hungry, and I knew, I was like, I need to eat something. And I never, at that age, I can't remember going to bed miserably full. Yeah. I just remember going to bed and I was like, I'm good. Yeah. Then waking up and doing everything and then coming back, and then but after everything and seeing how much I'm eating, and I remember I looked down one day and I was like, I couldn't see my toes. I'm like, I don't like this. And so just.
How do you feel like the shift from like consuming a lot of food to like, oh, I'm gonna work out so hard, so many hours a day that like I'm kind of punishing my body?
It's a challenge just because the joke when you're trying to gain weight when working out is that the hardest part ain't the workouts.
Yeah.
You could lift 1,000 pounds on deadlift or whatever, and you'd rather do that than eat all of your calories, your protein, whatever.
Right.
Because you got to eat until you puke, which is counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But abs are made in the kitchen, which sucks. But
but do you feel like you had a healthy relationship with food?
No, especially when I went off to college.
Okay, talk about that.
I think that's when it kicked off the most because, so I went to school in San Diego State, go Tex, and I was 1,386 miles away from the nearest friends and family on my own.
I love that you know exactly how many miles.
Exactly. It was a 23-hour drive, 2 days with traffic, 18 hours straight through.
Wow.
Which was not a fun drive.
No, I can imagine.
But moved all alone. Parents helped, girlfriend helped move out there, and stayed in a 395 square foot studio apartment.
You gonna get alone with some thoughts in that little tiny box you're in. Yeah.
And a lot of, I gotta do something. And the hardest part about living alone and then coming back here and living with roommates now is remembering to eat. Because living alone, nobody reminds you, hey, did you eat today?
But like that in and of itself is like, that's an issue, right? Like, why am I not like steadily consuming food? And like, I think my eating disorder really kicked off when I was in college too. Like there's a picture that I showed Ellie and she was like, that's not you. Like, who is that? Because I was sickly thin. But I remember so vividly like a conversation with my family and I'm going to give everyone the benefit of the doubt because I think we all learn and we all grow and we all figure things out and we all realize that words carry life and death, right, in our tongue. And there was a comment made one time to me at like 18, oh, it's time for you to wear a one piece. Like, you've gained a little bit of weight. I think at the time I weighed like 115 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
And I so vividly remember like something went off in my brain. And just being like, I don't need to eat. Like, I don't need to eat. And it like started something in my mind that like never turned off, you know? And so like all throughout college, like you're talking about, like I would just go like days where I would have like a protein bar or like those things. I remember so clearly when I went to College Station, the first time I ever left to go, I like went and got the like dihoxy whatever skinny pill there was. And I was like 120 pounds and messed my metabolism up so bad. But I was like constantly punishing myself or not even like aware that I was doing it, but like just like, oh, I'm never going to like feel the way that I did when that person made that comment to me. Like I want to be skinny, like more than anything in the world. And I think for you, it's different because men, like y'all don't talk about that. Like, you don't talk about, like, man, I feel a little chunky right now. Like, girls are like, oh, my God. Like, we talk about it incessantly, which is also not helpful. So, for me, like, my eating disorder, I don't think I really became, like, super aware of it until I was, like, realizing that I, at one point, was, like, making myself throw up after I ate. Like, it got that bad. And I don't think I've ever even told anyone that. Wow, let's just be real. And thankfully, like, that only lasted a short amount of time because I was realizing like, I'm going to die. Like, this is stupid. Like what I'm doing is foolish and is illogical. Like I'm literally vomiting up food that I'm barely eating enough to survive anyways. And then I think at the lowest I got was like 111 pounds when I was like 20.
Wow.
which is so not okay. And nobody knew. Like, it was my own little internal battle, but it was like constantly in my mind, like constant thinking about food, obsessing over it. Like, what did I eat? Then feeling guilty if I overate, then like not eating enough for days on end. And I don't know that you struggled with it to that degree, but I do think that like as we've gotten older and I've seen some of the patterns in your past, like I've recognized that like an eating disorder has either taken place or is currently taking place, right? And nobody talks about that in men.
No. It, for me, I don't know if it didn't click until, because I had weekly date nights.
Mm-hmm.
And we would make dinner together, and sometimes I would just not make dinner, but I wouldn't think about it. I would just think about putting on the movie, or I would purposely forget to not make dinner. And there was one time she asked what I had eaten that day, because we do it to each other. And, and what did you do today? Did you eat anything today?
Yeah.
Drink water, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I was trying to think. She was like, what'd you eat today? Like, what'd you eat yesterday? What did you eat yesterday? I think I had a bagel or something. She's like, why? I was like, I don't know. I didn't have anything here. Didn't have time. She's like, you can't go get some? I was like, no, I can. I was like, why? I was like, because I didn't do anything.
Because I didn't earn the food.
Yeah.
That, hearing you say that out loud is so wild to me, because first of all, like knowing that other people think those thoughts is insane. But like literally I still struggle with that thought. I didn't earn it. I haven't moved my body enough today. I haven't earned these calories. That grieves my heart so much, because I know that there's so many other people that think like that. And like, food is nourishing for your body. Like, you literally need it to stay alive. You know what I mean? And just today, like literally this morning, I had Bible study with my friend, and I was like, I need to like say this out loud. Like, I think about food way too much, either in a positive way of like, it brings me comfort. Like, I look forward to dinner. I look forward to these things, or like, I haven't earned any food today. I need to not eat, which is so sad, because that's not how God intended us to think about food. Like, it's a gift and to be enjoyed and savored, but also for nourishment as fuel for our bodies.
It's one of the basics required.
Literally.
It shouldn't be a punishment.
I know. And it makes me sad. It makes me sad that you've dealt with that. It makes me sad that like currently I'm still fighting this battle of like seeing food rightly. And there's a lot of resources that I have, like podcasts that I've listened to and things of that nature. My friend is a big proponent. She talks about Jess Connolly. She shares this book about like seeing yourself through the eyes of God, and just like, it's been so helpful watching her go through the journey and talking about it. But as a man, like, that has to be humbling to admit out loud.
Oh yeah. And it's taken time to be able to accept it.
Yeah.
Like, just saying, I didn't do anything today. That took a while to be able to realize that's why I'm not eating.
Yeah. It's so hard because you don't even know it. It's like such a mental thing where it's like, I don't even know that I'm doing this because it's such a part of something that I've obsessed over for so long that like now it's just a part of who I am. Like, oh, I didn't eat today because, you know, I was the lazy bum, or like, I shouldn't eat that because I didn't walk enough, or I didn't work out. I didn't lift heavy enough. Like, and I will tell you, like, you definitely got me addicted to lifting weights, which I appreciate that, because I love the challenge of like, how heavy can I push myself? How hard can I push myself? But I've gotten into the routine of like reminding myself, and I talk about this all the time now, especially with my women friends, like, I get to work out. I get to move my body. I am not punishing my body. I have a good body. My body is strong. My body has been through a lot. And I work out to reward my body for being strong. Like, I'm not punishing myself anymore. And I know that you're like on the other end of it. Like, you're on the downward side of like, you've seen it, recognize the behavior, you're actively working against it. But I just want you to know, like, you have a great body and your body is strong, and you deserve food, and you deserve to work out heavy and have fun and do all the things. But like, I just think that you need to hear that. And I think other people need to hear that, like, you don't have to earn food.
I appreciate it.
You know? And
Hear that?
Yeah, did you hear that? You don't have to earn food. You don't have to punish yourself. But I'm so proud of you for being willing to talk about that, because I don't think that it's something that is uncommon in men.
Yeah.
I think that it's something that's shameful in men, and they don't talk about it enough.
Yeah.
So just your boldness to like share it, and not that we're healed of it or that it's like, you know, oh, I'm over it. Like, it might be something that we actively work against for the rest of our lives, but I'm at least going to drag it into the light and let it not have power over me.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
the battle's won, but the war ain't over.
That's true. Yeah. Very true. That's so true. Well, I'm very proud of you for sharing that.
Well, thank you. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. I love you a lot.
I love you.
Okay, let's talk about something fun. Let's talk about me.
Yes.
Yeah. What is it like to have a bossy older sister-in-law? Because I came in like a force. I know I did.
It's interesting seeing all the endeavors that you have gone on, and gonna be honest, I don't remember all of them.
Oh, it's fine. I don't either.
I mainly remember the essential oils and now real estate. Now, there was something in between.
Photography?
Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Which the way Dylan proposed, I still remember. So cute. And I know you hate it so much, which makes it so much better.
Wait, were you there?
Yes, when he proposed?
I have no I literally... Have we told this story? I have no recollection of that day, because he, let's just preface it, left me in another state, okay? And the fact that y'all all knew this was coming and no one thought, hey, let's let her in on this, because she's literally in another state. We were supposed to fly home that day. Mm-hmm. And we were in California visiting my family. Unbeknownst to me, he had asked their permission. That was my dad's side of the family. He asked their permission if he could propose to me. And we were flying non-rev, and there was one seat open, and he lickety-split jumped on the plane, left me in California, and flew his soul happy. I didn't know that part. Oh, yeah. Flew home to Texas. And I had been up since 4 a.m. I literally looked, no offense, like a Pentecostal woman. I had a skirt on and a sweatshirt, no makeup, nothing, had my glasses on. Mm-hmm. And we get to the freaking airport, and he's dressed to the nines. And he's like, hey, we parked 30 gates the opposite direction. And y'all are all waiting up there, and I'm giving it to him on the stairs up. I'm like, I cannot believe you. I will never forgive you for leaving me in another state. Because he literally, when the lady was like, we have one seat, he was like, I love you. I got to go. Bye. Kissed me and ran on the plane. I was like, I literally called my mom. I was like, Dylan and I are breaking up. Like, he's breaking up with me. And y'all all knew, and nobody thought, let's let her in. Let's let her in that she's not getting dumped on another state.
Now you got to tell the cute part about it, in that, I don't remember it fully because I was also young. Yeah. But it was something like every day you would ask Dylan, can we get married tomorrow? Mm-hmm. Can we get married tomorrow?
Can we get married tomorrow? That.
And then he comes up and makes sure we're all good. And a few people have some signs and it all say, can we get married tomorrow?
I literally no recollection. Yeah. None at all. Wow. Yeah. And thank God it worked out. Thank God it worked out. But it was wild. So I think it's so unique, though, that you and I are so close, because I have a younger brother and him and I are close too, but we fight a lot. Yeah, but I feel like currently fighting bronchitis. I got bronchitis. What's that girl say? She's like, ain't nobody got time for that.
Oh, Lord Jesus, there's
a fire. So I feel like, I don't know why it happened, but we just like clicked one day. I think maybe it was over working out, honestly. I think that's what it was.
Probably.
And I'm just nosy too.
Yeah. That, and I
don't hesitate.
And no, you are.
I am.
And I am an open book. I'll tell you whatever you want to know.
Yeah.
And just about anything. And
it's what I've found about y'all's family. Y'all are all open books. Nobody just asks. And I'm just like, so tell me your entire life story. A to Z, I want to hear it all. And y'all are like, okay. Bloop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ain't got nothing to hide.
No.
And so I didn't spend a lot of time at home because I was always doing other stuff. And the age difference between Dylan and I and Veronica and all that. And it was weird being like the only kid in the house. And so I never had that younger person to talk to.
Yeah.
I had friends, but I ain't going to tell them
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't trust them.
Yeah.
But so you came in. So do this. You do this.
Uh-huh.
What do you think about this? What do you think about this? I'm like, Okay, this.
Yeah.
This.
Yeah, you would just come in and we'd just chat and just share all of our deepest, darkest secrets. And I think you're someone that like can literally talk to anyone. Like you have such a friendly personality. And I'm like, as soon as I realize that you want to talk, I'm like, I'm fully sat. I've got a drink in hand. Like we are having a conversation. And I'm like, I really am nosy, but I also just like really care about you.
Yeah.
I care about all of y'all's family. Like I am someone that I feel like wants to just know all the things.
And that's part of what makes you so great.
Aw.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up with, well, okay, and obviously y'all's growing up was different, but like, what's it like being Dylan's brother?
I used to think that we were completely different personality-wise. And that the reason why I say this is because we went to a comedy show, him, me, and our dad, and went to a comedy show, and we all traveled together. I think it was an Uber. Or Dylan was driving or something like that. And leave the house, and them two are ahead of me, and they're just walking silently to the car, and I come out skipping, and I hop in and start talking and everything. And I'm laughing my head off at the comedy show, and I know they were laughing as well, but I was like obnoxiously loud at points.
Yeah.
And then now that I play softball with him once a week, and in 2, 3 fantasy 4.
Don't even talk about it.
5 fantasy football
10 fantasy football leagues.
Something like that. That doesn't include the betting.
An exorbitant amount.
Yeah. I realize sense of humor is almost the same.
Yes.
Like all the same stuff. And Dylan's a big reason why I started acting in theater and all that stuff because of his movie collection.
Yeah.
And I adored it.
Oh.
And I wanted his movie collection so bad.
He sold it to pay off my wedding ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a man. Yeah, I think it's been interesting to watch you guys. And I will say, like, I'm one of those people that, like, I'm going to push for a relationship always. I'm like, have you talked to your mom? Have you talked to your dad? And I don't think boys are like that. Like, boys don't naturally, like, want to sit and yap, you know? But I think that's why you and I click. Because I'm like, oh, he wants to chat. Like, we're going to chat, you know?
It's the funniest thing because slight sidebar, but going back to saying I could talk to anybody.
Yeah.
I was growing up, I was not good at talking to people.
Really?
I could talk, not to people. I could talk the ear off a brick wall, but
like being socially, like understanding conversation.
Yeah, not good.
Because you were like raised as an only child for a long time.
Yes, that and my mind I have ADHD. Mine goes at 1,000,000 miles a minute.
Same.
And
if you couldn't tell from this episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
The best way that I could always think to describe it is if you and I are driving in a car together, you see one cloud up in the sky and it just goes on by, then you got a clear sky. All good. I see one cloud and then I see another one and then, oh, is that a thunderstorm?
Yeah.
Oh, why is it raining right now? Why is the storm? Why did it get windy all of a sudden? And then it's just clear sky. It's like, oh, this is a nice day. Why is it raining?
Yeah. Like your brain goes,
yeah. Yeah. But
conversation with people.
Yes. I could talk the ear off a brick wall. I met my beautiful, lovely girlfriend a year before, went off to school, told her in the funniest way.
That you loved her?
No, that I was leaving for San Diego.
Well, why do I think this is not going to be funny?
Because it's not.
Yeah.
So first date, I laid it out there. Hey, it's possible in a year I might be in California in San Diego. And she know full well off the jump. But that is the problem with me. I got her hook, line, and sinker.
Well, and girls were like, we can change him. He's going to stay here.
He'll stay for me.
Yeah.
And it was a date night. It was the spring break. I was at community college and I was playing video games with my roommate. And I get an email on my phone and I go into another room and I look and it was, you got accepted to San Diego State. I'm like, cool. Set it down, go back playing video games. Didn't say a word about it to my roommate. But then like next day, him and I text our other friend who, had I not gone, we all three would have roomed together saying, hey, you two need to start looking together. And Matt, my roommate, texted the same thing. Hey, we need to start looking for something. And that's when them two knew, which was before girlfriend.
And that's how you decided to tell your friends, hey, I'm moving.
Yeah, I told them officially.
What a
later.
wonderful communicator.
Yeah. And then date night, I knew this was not going to be a fun conversation. So I picked a great spot, made sure, because we both worked in the restaurant industry at the time, made sure the friend that both of us share was waiting on us. I knew the cook, all that. We were getting all nice stuff. And
buttering her up to break her freaking heart.
And on the way home, and I'm driving, and at the time she had a friend who was doing long distance with military man. And I'm like, how do they do long distance? She says, oh, they do like phone call dates and stuff here and there. And I'm like, And she said that's when her heart sank. And I said, and I do this all the time now. You want the good news? You want the bad news?
Oh my God. I'd have punched you square in the jaw.
And she said,
you waited till after dinner, you're driving home.
Yes. And she said, what's the bad news? I said, I got accepted in San Diego. And she starts bawling.
Oh, poor girl. We love Megan too.
Yes.
She's the best.
She's the best. And I was like, you want to know the good news? She said, what? I was like, I got accepted in San Diego.
Oh my God. Did you ever learn to think about women of like, don't do that?
Oh, I knew not to do that. But that was the only way I could think of.
That was your like 15-year-old brain being like, yay!
Yeah.
Like,
I was
like I'm so nervous.
This
My
is
nervous
the
energy.
best way to do this.
Oh, yeah. I would have been so mad.
But
there's really not a good way to break it to her. Like, hey, I'm moving out of state and we're going to be long distance for 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I sat both of you down and I was like, listen, y'all sure you want to do this? Because you need to consider what you about to find. I was like, oh, he's going to break this girl's heart. He's going to move off to San Diego. He's never going to come home. Like, he's just going to literally. And I like her. Like, I really do. I think she's great for you. But I was like, y'all about to break each other's hearts. And you were like, no, we're not. And you didn't. And I was wrong.
It's that Swingle man.
You were like, I'm going to stick to this. Yeah. Yeah.
But the cutesy part of all of it is, so I got a major in communications. And fascinating.
Thank God.
And I told her one night, it was when I was back for Christmas or something. And I was like, you know why I got a major in communications out of all things when I could just get that at UNT or something? She said, why? I was like, San Diego is top 5 in the nation for communications degrees.
You're like, I'm going to learn how to conversate one way or another.
And I told her, I could talk the ear off a brick wall. I can't talk to people. I especially can't talk to women. I especially can't talk to pretty women. And I told her, I was like, I've, shocker, dated women in the past.
Yeah.
And realized the common problem in all of it is that I can't talk. I can't communicate anything.
Yeah.
And I see what I have with you. I realize I can't mess this up, so I better fix it.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go to the best school to get the best degree. For this, I took countless relational communications classes, interpersonal,
okay, you redeemed yourself.
Emotional
That's so
communications
sweet.
classes, all kinds of things, and just so I can communicate to her. And it helped so much.
Yeah, I would say for sure you've become a conversationalist.
Yeah.
Whereas before you just like spout off random jokes and do a bunch of weird accents and we'd be like, okay. Like you definitely have grown a lot in that. That's incredible. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And also a little psychotic, but I love it. I love it. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of things and a lot of fun stuff and a lot of hard stuff, but now I'm going to tell you rapid fire. Oh, you have questions for me.
I do have a couple of questions for you. They're not necessarily in the realm of let's keep it real, but I do think that they could be real.
No one ever asked me questions. I love this.
Oh, yeah.
And he wouldn't tell me before, and I'm like, I don't get to pre-screen.
They're not bad questions because also, fun fact, while I was in San Diego, I was a part of the radio station that we had out there.
Yeah. He did a podcast before I did a podcast.
What's the name of our radios? KCR, College Radio.
Oh.
And I had my own live show, had a podcast out there.
You have such a radio voice.
Why, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I did tabling events for him, eventually became the events director for that radio station, setting up concerts, planning concerts,
And now that's what you do for who?
And now that's what I do for work for Odyssey.
Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
And you hooked me up with tickets the other day. Yeah. Okay, wait. Go back.
Maybe don't say that.
No, yeah, I'm not going to. Not going to name names.
But yeah, that's what I do for work now.
And I love it.
These questions are from that podcast because I have a bad habit of course, mine going a million miles a minute.
Yeah.
Saying whatever. It's not always the best thing.
Yeah.
And so these are things that I came up with back then that were
think would be
safe
beneficial
for the podcast.
Can I make a confession?
Yes.
This is the first podcast of all the ones that I've done. I didn't write down a single question for you. I didn't send you any questions. Normally I send all my guest questions. I didn't send not a one. Look at us. Look at us. Okay, go. Ask me the questions.
So, what animal could you beat in a fight? Like, realistically.
Realistically, what animal could I beat in a fight? Can I wear my leg or can I take it off and use it as a weapon?
Yes. But open field.
A kangaroo.
No chance.
100%.
No chance.
Listen, I'm scrappy.
A baby? Yes.
No, a kangaroo. A full-chested male kangaroo. We going toe-to-toe.
Ain't no way you're beating up Joey Kangaroo.
Yes, I can. Do you know why?
Why?
Because I have amazing balance and I can bob and weave.
You ain't got a 3-foot-long tail that you can rock back on and then Mike Tyson
I got
kick.
a metal leg that I can roundhouse him to the face with.
Ain't no shot.
Yeah. Kangaroo, I stand by it.
I said the biggest animal that I could think that I could beat in a fight is a black bear.
You're a psycho.
I could 100% beat a black
Maybe
bear.
because there's somewhere in you that's like rage-filled somewhere. But like, no, you couldn't. Okay, next question. Kangaroo, I stand on that.
And that also got into a heated argument back in San Diego of whether
don't
or
fight
not,
a bear?
No, of whether or not I could beat a capuchin monkey in a fight. The one from Night at the Museum.
The little tiny one?
Yes.
I don't think you could.
Next question. Would you go one round with Mike Tyson for $10 million?
Is that the guy I slapped on the arm?
That is
Floyd Mayweather. I met Floyd Mayweather in Vegas and I like walked up to him and I punched him and I was like, "Hey, buddy." And he goes, "Hey, how are you?" Like we were old friends. And then after the fact, Jenna grabbed me and goes, "Do you realize you just punched someone who could physically kill you with one punch?" And I was like, "Oh my God." It was like a nervous tick. I just like, so do I think I could go one round?
With Mike Tyson?
No, absolutely not. I'm not a fool.
But for $10 million.
Would I go one round?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, 100%. For $10 million,
For 10
I'll
mil.
just build myself a whole new face. Are you kidding? Yeah.
One punch in your... I don't think you're going to have a face to reconstruct.
They'll figure it out. AI that sucker. I don't know.
How many 10-year-olds do you think you could beat in a fight?
I'm not answering
They're
that.
coming at you in
I'm
waves
not
of 5 every
answering
5
that.
minutes with a
10.
6th grader boss.
10 people. 10 kids.
10-year-olds?
Yeah. No chance. My husband just said no chance.
That is all fight-related questions.
Now I'm going to fight somebody just to prove myself.
This one is... Oh, that just made me think of another one. If you could say one thing to everyone at the same time telepathically, what would it be? To cause one, to cause the most destruction. 2, to do whatever you want. To just confuse people if you want.
I want to answer appropriately, but I'm not going to.
It could be a little phrase.
Who farted? I think that's what I would say. Who farted? Okay, wait, there was another tangent to that.
Yes.
Okay, what?
That reminded me, and this one, I don't know if it's appropriate, but it's...
Wait, don't matter. We'll cut it out if it's
The
not.
answer is so interesting to anybody, and I'll give
Good.
my answer. If you... Oh, excuse
Go
me.
ahead, Bert. I told you. As long as you don't fart.
Who farted?
Wouldn't that be so funny if like automatically you just hear in your own voice, who farted?
There's an
And
elevator.
everybody's just like looking around. Anyways, go.
If you had to commit one crime
Oh.
and to make sure that it was never committed again, guaranteed it's never going to be committed again, but you
Oh my
commit
God,
it,
that is
you are,
so awful.
You are found guilty, you do the time, and you can find loopholes for it, but everybody will think that you did it and you're found guilty, you do the time, but it will never be done again.
Do I actually have to commit the crime?
If you can find a loophole.
Oh my God, I don't want to answer that.
Because I found a loophole to my answer.
Is your answer going to get us both canceled?
Does
Does it have anything to do with children?
Somewhat.
No, don't say it out loud. Let me think.
But it has a loophole.
Voter fraud. That's a safe answer.
Yes,
Voter
it is.
fraud.
Someone said jaywalking once.
Jaywalking?
Yeah, because they're like,
That's so
I can't go to
stupid.
prison. I'm like,
I think voter fraud. Yeah, I think I would love to see a democracy where, like, I don't know, that everyone wanted to vote and just feel safe voting. I don't care. Really. I know that that's going to piss a lot of people off. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm of the mindset of all of them suck and I don't like a nary one of them. And I don't believe a single word that comes out of any of their mouths. And they will probably cancel me most for that, but I don't care.
I mean, the answers that I've gotten are like murder.
Yeah, I could commit murder and it never happen again.
Embezzlement, robbery.
Can I kill somebody who's
easy
bad?
stuff. Yeah.
My husband's leaning his head around like, we're cutting this.
Just them. I can do this.
There's
There's
that TikTok noise going around that's like, yeah, it's Theo Von. He's like, I think women should be able to kill one man a year. And I'm like,
my favorite Theo Von quote is
PG?
Yes, and he's talking about something, and he goes, "Man, make you want to kick a fat kid at a Kmart."
Yes, he is unhinged.
I love him so much,
but I love his little like. There's a guy that's on Instagram or TikTok that like impersonates him, and who's his assistant?
Randy.
Yeah. Oh, what's his name?
Theo Von's assistant.
Yes, Randy.
I don't know.
He's like impersonating him and he's like, hey, Randy, Google how many suns there are on the earth and why they go around in this way. And it's just like the dumbest, like he comes up with the dumbest stuff, but it like all sounds like stuff Theo Von could say. It does. Okay, well, that was a lot of fun. We're done. Because I'm not letting you goat me into anything else that's going to get me canceled.
I could make this a 4-hour podcast.
I know you could, but I'm going to cut you there, kid. I love you.
I love you. Thank you for having me on.
Good night. Goodbye.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to my mom's podcast, Let's Just Be Real. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, like, follow, rate, and review so you don't miss any of these honest and amazing stories. For all the behind-the-scenes content, go follow my mom at Jordyn Swingle on Instagram. And as always, let's just be real.